One of the guys on his Beowulf Twitter account actually got a few followers, like people who weren't in the class. Like 15 minutes after he started, I mean, I think it must have just been Beowulf enthusiasts or something. But so it was pretty cool, a neat idea for an in-class day. And part of the idea, I think, with this is it's not a homework assignment. This is in class. You have the time. If you want to finish up or put finishing touches on at home, you can, but that's not the idea. The goal is actually being engaged in class at school. All right, as I said at the beginning, we've got all these technology things, but I think there's something here that remains very important. John's going to finish up with that.
And talking about relationships with teachers, students, and it really is important, even with advancing technology. If you don't have some sort of friendly relationship with your teachers, I know I won't work if I don't think the teacher respects me and there's not mutual respect. So what Mr. Macy has done at the beginning of the semester, he had us write goals that we wanted to continue with through high school, out in college, in the world, and then we come in and talk to him, and it makes it more personable, it makes him more likable, because show of hands, who all thought that their teachers as kids were robots, and oh my gosh, they're at the store? What is this? I'll come down to the corner and show off. And every student thinks that at one point or another, and it makes it, oh, I can actually come talk to my teacher, I don't have to just be stuck in his class X amount of minutes a day, turn this in, whatever day. I know he's a real person, he has a life, and I can respect that. I can work for him, I can work with him. And then, especially in the high-tech world, we do like our traditional values with the journaling and not necessarily everything typed, some handwritten. It makes it, again, more personal. If you write a letter to somebody, handwritten, oh, this person took the time to write something and send it to me as opposed to an email, quick text, whatever. Oh, happy birthday, and a note from your great-grandmother. Well, thanks, Grandma, I appreciate that. And then it is nice to know that the students and the teachers do care about each other. We will work harder when you respect something and someone for it. So that opens it up for questions.
All right. Well, I want, first of all, I'd like to give these guys a round of applause. There's a whole lot of high school students that could get up in front of a room of 80-plus people and speak like that. So there you go, guys. So questions here. What we'd like to do is just open it up. Any questions you have, whether it's for me, for the students. I'm thinking we'll spend a few minutes on this, and then we'll do the clicker survey. So hopefully there's some of those at the table, and maybe every person can at least see one of those. Did I see a hand over here? Something? Go ahead.
I'm actually a graduate of Evergreen High, so it's kind of fun to see.
Excellent.
I was wondering for the students, how often now, as seniors, prior to high school or even prior to Mr. Macy's class, that you were exposed to this kind of thing like use of blogs or PBWorks or Key or any of those other kinds of sites that are out there? Or was it really kind of your first big dose with Mr. Macy's class?
Well, I guess I'll take it. Because, well, I think I got some of it in my previous class, not very limited, we use computers kind of thing, but now it's just we're actually going to interact with it, which is totally new for me, and I think a lot of people from Evergreen. And this year, we all every classroom got smart boards, and I think for me that was really cool because you can draw on it and erase it and touch it, all that cool stuff. So it's just I know I thought it's a very interactive way to learn because I've never been used to it at all.
So it was a senior before you actually really got dosed with, as far as the educational side versus Facebook, which I know you've been doing since you were 5.
You definitely get the dose of a teacher's website itself that you show with a snapshot, but they were never as detailed as Mr. Macy's. You have Wednesday, read book or see me. That's very helpful. So, but having Google calendars and having the idea of surveys and blogs was a completely new experience. It was very beneficial.
Go ahead.
Concerning writing by hand and typing as a teacher of fifth graders, it's frustrating to me. I feel like some of them all they know how to write by hand. I'm curious how you feel about that as students and as a teacher, and then things like CCIRA and all that.
Well, I'll throw out something first. I mean, I would say generally at the junior, senior level, any kind of final draft or something would be typed. But also, I do emphasize in the writing process, when students are doing a large essay assignment, there's 4 drafts. So the first one is handwritten. It's an outline, it's a concept map, a free write, something like that, and it has to be handwritten. That's one of the guidelines. The second draft, you have the choice. You can build on it with handwritten, get more of the quotes, sentences, things like that in there. Third draft is typed. That's the one that we do peer edits on in class, and then the final, of course, is typed as well. And then there's also one assignment that I have that also has to be handwritten. Is called a literary journal. And if you go to the class website, that's described on there. And that's basically students have a choice of 4 different reading comprehension activities that they can do as they read. And that has to be handwritten, because the goal is you're sitting here reading and you're writing at the same time. It's not read this and then go type out some questions. And I think they get a lot more out of it if you're writing along as you go. If everyone owned their own book, they'd be writing directly in the books. And of course, in many public schools, that's not an option. But I think it's great skills for college. Anyone else have any thoughts on that? Handwritten versus typed?
I think handwriting is really important still, but I also, when I take notes, sometimes I'll type them on the computer because I'll just be there, and it's faster for me because I'm faster at typing than I am at writing. But I still think it's an important skill for us all to have, and it's an important thing. Like if we're reading, I do jot notes down in my book if I'm like, it's my book. I think it's important still.
And we definitely, I see more and more of a mix, like Alyse said, of students taking notes. When I do a mini lesson or a lecture, some are using laptops, some are typing on iPads, some are doing handwritten notes as well. Okay, go ahead.
Leads pretty directly to my question. I was wondering about the availability of computers, if students don't have them, if they're available, if they're in your class enough for everybody every day.
Yeah. Great question. It was about the availability of computers, and I think that this is kind of an ever-growing issue and something that many schools are dealing with is what's the best way? Is it laptop carts? Is it workstations in the classroom? Is it computer labs? At Evergreen, we kind of have a mix. So we have a few computer labs. We have a few laptop carts that you can check out. I can generally assume that all of my students have a computer and internet access at home, which, depending on where you work or what the student body is, you may not be able to assume that. So that's, I think, definitely an issue to be considered. For the most part, when we did these multimedia responses and book trailers, I was able to book out either laptops or computer lab time so that the students could do almost all of their work in school time and kind of wrap it up at home. And then also I would say, hey, if you have your own computer, your own laptop, bring it in, so you're familiar working with that machine. All right, what other ones? Go ahead.
How do you handle copyright free stuff? When you start doing these videos of music and things, you really have to watch. How do you teach them on dealing with this?
Yeah.
How do you present that to them?
Yeah, awesome question. And I basically say you've got to cite your sources. I think you saw on both of these videos a fairly extensive list here. And that's any song that you use, any image that you go to, any website that you use. And I've kind of taken the stance that you can take something from the internet and use it as part of your project. You can't go to YouTube and pull off someone's video and use that and turn it in and say, hey, this is my project here. But maybe you go on there and you can splice out a few seconds of a video that incorporates in there as long as you're citing it. So that's something always when I'm doing these projects, I say, hey, have a blank Word document going where you're citing your sources as you go. Because if you get to the end and you try to think of the 50 sources that you went to, you're never going to, and that's happened to students, and it's not very fun at the end. So yeah, I think that's a great question, and I think a great thing. I've had some discussions about the librarians at my school about that as well, because I think they're kind of I would say the local expert on what you do with that. Any other ones?
Yeah, I have a question about
Okay, let's go.
What's a good forum to find out what's new and happening and really worthwhile with kids? For education.
I don't know. Who knows the answer to that one? Go ahead.
EdTech Talk. Does anyone ever listen to
EdTech Talk? Okay.
You can Google it, and you listen, and you can also be part of it, and they have great philosophical conversations that also do it.
Yep. Nice. I also, through the main Smartboard program, is a program called Notebook. put out by the SMART organization. There's a website called smarttech.com. If you have notebook software or smartboard, there's tons of stuff on there that's good to use. So a couple ideas. Great question. And I'm sure there's plenty out there. Yep.
How do you use the blogs as a form of assessment to enter grades? I mean, I teach a 4th grade class, and I have my own website for them and the same kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I taught at a tech school before, so.
Yeah.
But I had a really hard time. Blogs can be so subjective as far as grading. Do you use them for grades that you can enter?
I would say for the most part, it wouldn't be like a largely weighted assignment. But for example, if I say, okay, we're going to read the Partner's Tale in the Canterbury Tales, read that and post your blog on here. And sometimes it's in the format that Alex described, the texty format. Sometimes it's more of an open sort of response, or create some kind of thoughtful feedback to it. And maybe it's like a 5-point assignment. I go through, I read them off, and I kind of decide. Basically, on the texty one, did you have all the elements? Did you cite your source? Did you have those things? You could easily create a rubric around that as well if you wanted to. So in the most case, not a huge assignment, but yes, it's something that I do put in the grade book. All right, any others, or should we get to the clickers? I tell you what, why don't we get to the clicker survey here, and then if you want to hang afterwards, you're welcome to come up and chat with us, chat with these guys. So take out your clicker, if you would, please. If you don't have your own in front of you, maybe look along with someone else. Especially if you've never used one of these before, maybe you want to go for it. So your clicker should say "Welcome to Macy" on it. Give me a thumbs up if you got "Welcome to Macy" on your clicker. We all set with those? So you got a few options on these. Right now we're in anonymous mode, so I'm not going to be tracking your responses. It won't show up on your report card. But that's something you can do. So when I do a reading quiz or the vocab test, which goes through the clickers, students have the same vocab test in front of them that they would always, but they put in their answer here. They get the results right at the end of the test. They like that. The results come automatically to me, which I like as well. So for that, students sign in with their student ID number, and it would actually say, "Welcome, Travis." The first time students sign in, whoa, that's my name. It's kind of cool. So for now, like I said, it's anonymous. As this loads, okay, you see your questions loading up here. And basically fairly straightforward. You got yes, no, true, false at the upper left, and then you got letter answers as well. You can put in word answers too. So let's say you had a question and the answer was Smith. Students could type that in. All right, first question. This one's just to see if you know how to use the clicker. Colorado's weather has been pretty interesting this week. So go ahead, select yes or no. Once you have the answer in, you'll want to hit enter. And you can see, I see over here how many students have answered. I can click on who are we waiting for? So this is, and this is something I wouldn't show to the whole class, but I can freeze the screen, and see, hey, who's still working here? Who might need more time? Who might need to go back and do this test again because they didn't have enough time? So everyone in, make sure you hit enter as well. Okay, next one. The presenters were prepared. The only guideline here, please be honest on this. This is good feedback for us for this presentation.